So what I want us to do is to start becoming more conscious, start choosing things in a better way for ourselves, and start creating a life that's going to gear us to really take advantage of the opportunities that are going to show up for us in the years to come.
This podcast is brought to you by The Integrated Human. We work up, down, inside out to plug yourself into your potential. If you want to see what we are up to and what's next, sign up to our newsletter or follow us on social media. If you like what we are doing, we really appreciate it if you can like our post on social media and YouTube and help us grow.
All right. Welcome to the Big and Small Podcast. I'm Jason Shields and I'm big.
And I'm Marit Gabrielsen and I'm the tiny one.
All right. I was talking to one of my really good patients today, and then she's like, "What are you going to do today?" I'm like, "I'm going to make a podcast with MTG." She's like, "You're so lucky."
Yes, you are.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
Yes.
So, back in the saddle.
Yes.
What do you got for me today?
Brain freeze. I have to inform that we have, just to revisit something we said before, we have a meditation seminar coming in March, 17th to 19th of March.
Should I pretend like I don't know this?
No,
Okay.
No.
Like last time.
We have
Really?
4 tickets left, I think.
Yeah.
So if you still are available, I would recommend that you join that. It's an extended one. We now start on Friday.
Yep.
Um,
And it's going to be sold out, guys. Jump on it if you want to experience real meditation. This is the thing. It's important.
And we also talking about changing the name. You didn't know that I'm going to bring this up, but to the flow state continuum.
Yeah, that's it.
Because I feel, and you brought this up actually the other day, which was really interesting, that you had talked to this guy when many years ago, and you asked him about meditation, and he said, "I don't have mental issues."
Yeah.
And it's super rude to say that, but I understand him because it's really difficult. I was find it difficult. I thought meditation is something if you're mentally sick, or if you have issues, or if like the spiritual people, that's what they do. And it's a lot of in that culture that I don't agree on and necessarily want to associate myself with. Until then, but now I understand what meditation is. And if you look at every high level person, they do meditation in one form or the other
Consistently.
And like you said, everybody have heard about flow state.
Yeah, the flow state, which is the infinite state of performance. And this is an interesting thing because they started doing research on the flow state, and everybody experiences small drops of this thing, right? But what we at the Integrated Human are helping people develop is that clear channel up, down, inside out, so that they can, basically open up their potential. And that potential is living in the flow state continuum. It's not just achieving the flow state for a basketball game or for a meeting
or in your yoga room.
Or in your yoga room, for example. And they were saying that when they were doing the research, they could hook people up to these EEGs, which measure brain waves. And Buddhist monks that had been meditating for 30 years, they could put themselves into these states. And of course they can. That's the whole point of enlightenment. You live in this state of flow. And yes, I've been doing this meditation for much more than 30 years. I started when I was 4, and now I'm 52. Yes. Right? So the whole point is that it's not that I'm giving you the hack. Oh, you can save yourself 30 years. The whole point is that if you understand the dynamics, you don't have to spend the 30 years, but there is some kind of orientation that you need and some work that you need in order to clear the channel.
Yes.
And that's the whole point of the Integrated Human. These meditation events are not just to relax. People are gaining important skills for life mastery. But life mastery, why? Why do you get the performance bump? You get the performance bump because you're in the flow state more and more
and
more.
more.
That's
Life
it.
happens
Exactly.
less and less to you.
Yes.
Not that it doesn't happen, but
Yeah.
you're getting thrown off and you recover quicker.
That's it.
So I recommend this. It will be actually the last meditation event. After this will be a flow state event.
That's it. Flow state
The
events.
continuum.
Yes,
Flow state continuum
continuum
event.
events.
So I just had to remind myself that I had to say that because you only have a few tickets left. And it's going to be really good. And also, like I said, you also get to do this with more people. And the more people that are doing it together, my experience is I have a stronger, deeper experience.
Yeah, when you talk to people who, for example, are on the team of a person who experiences flow state, they also enter the flow state. That's the whole point. When Michael Jordan, you play with Michael Jordan, the whole team rises up. It's just what it is, right?
Yeah, and it's also the I'm brain freezing so much today. I was thinking that you also get the when you go home training. Home training was really popular when COVID started. Train out at home, work out. You can do everything in the gym that you can do at home, and opposite. But I work out 20 hours a week. I don't do home training.
No.
I don't get that things to work. I feel ridiculous. I feel uncomfortable. It's not the right spot. I feel sweaty and icky and training at home. It's that every time I try. But when I go to the gym, the sweat is running off my face and I don't feel sweaty.
That's right.
And doing a weekend like that for me is like going to the gym.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to do that weekend.
Yeah.
I don't have to look at the dishes. I don't have to look at the pile of clothes I need to fold. I don't have to do those things. This is what I'm going to do that weekend. And I come there. I just have to be. The responsibility is on us
Yes.
that is hosting it and holding it.
Yeah.
So you get there to be there for you and nobody else. And that's why also I like going to these events and similar events myself, because sometimes it's good to just be a practitioner and just be a part of what is.
Yes. Marit, make sure that you have a safe place, and I make sure you have the safe space.
Yes.
And the flow continues.
Yeah, I'm standing outside like like no one's coming in here. We have questions.
One last thing.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Do you know that science and inner exploration is now completely integrated, that at the highest level of science, they're manipulating the brain in order to create different brain waves.
Yeah, they're shocking it, right?
Yeah. Well, you know that they did the EEG test on me, right? And me and my father, Tom, we've been meditating since I was a child. We have the highest amount of gamma waves they've measured, right? Which is pretty good. It's at least a scientific proof of.
It's a fun fact.
It's a fun fact. It's a proof of work. Okay, so they have these things that they're trying to set on people's brains, which induce different brainwaves, and they've even gone so far to shock your prefrontal cortex, where you're making all your decisions and reflections and plans and all that stuff.
That's what you want to have shocks.
Yeah, right. They're shocking them in order to try to put them in a flow state. My friends, let me shock you by telling you, you don't need it. Come to the event. It'll be easy.
Yeah, don't shock your brain.
Don't shock your brain.
Don't take that shortcut.
Yeah, come on.
It's just like a diet pill. They don't know, do the work.
No.
Come on. We have questions.
All right.
Yes. So we are always open for questions.
Yes.
And we always ask and invite people to comment or write a direct message in Instagram or Facebook, or send us a mail or whatever that is, to ask questions for the podcast. And we've gotten a couple.
We can't, unfortunately, answer all of them. I'm sorry, but we pick out some that we feel are very valid.
Yeah, and that kind of covers bigger pictures for people. So outros, not two today.
Oh.
So this is going to be interesting. So, and there are kind of different aspects.
Yes.
One of them and I'm going to have to try to translate this also. So bear with me. The first question are regarding the podcast we had last time.
Yep.
The one about relationship and the dating culture and how we don't understand how that works.
Get me started.
No, we're not. We're not going to get into that. But
oh my God.
The question is, what can young men and women do in their 20s to grow up before they search for a lifelong partner and take on the responsibility it is to have a partner?
Ah, that's so beautiful.
And I never heard, I have to say, it's a young guy asking this,
Yes, we know who he is. He's a Superman.
but I've never heard a young man say such a wonderful words. Lifelong partner.
What a beautiful human being he is. Yeah, this guy's stellar.
And he's a opposite to what you can find online. So I'm just saying, girls, there's hope out there.
Yeah, yeah. And he looks good.
And he's a
He
good guy.
functions good. Yeah.
Anyway, so
Yeah.
what can people in their 20s do to grow up before they search for partners?
Well, I have a whole frame that I like to put out for people. Everything has its season, right? There's a season for being free and relaxed. There's a season for being busy. There's a season for different things, right? For example, I talked to a mother of 3 children. One's 9 months old and it's not sleeping. And she's just like, I just want some peace. And I'm like, yeah, you got 3 kids and one's not sleeping. You're not getting any peace. Like,
Forget about it.
that's not the season. The season is building a house and having 3 kids and working full-time job, both the husband and her, and a big, high-powered people in general. It's a whole nother level of stress on their everyday life. And they're very valuable people, but they're just not going to have peace. Okay. Just what it is. They can meditate and they can kind of try to balance things, but unless you are basically in the flow state continuum, before you start having those kids, you're in trouble. Okay. So what I generally say to people is that just look at the scope of life. And there are exceptions to this. So please forgive me, but this is just a map that you can fill in for yourself. It's like a coloring book. You can color outside the lines if you want to.
Not everything fits everybody.
Not everything fits everybody, but this is in general the case. When you are a teenager, you first have to understand and wake up to the fact that you're not just a me, but you're an I. And what that means is that you have to, must, should relate to the society and the people that are around you. It's not all about me, 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 me. It's me, yes, but it's also in relationship to the environment. And this is actually something that a lot of kids don't get because of the way people are raised today with iPads and Nemo and
cushions everywhere.
And cushions. And yeah, they expect the world to be asphalted for them so that they don't get a thorn in their foot instead of just putting shoes on.
And then when they get a thorn, they freak out, have identity crisis, breakdowns, depression, life falling apart.
Yeah, that's it. It's
because the contrast is so big from paved to thorn.
Yeah, and they don't really understand that the world is not their mother and father's house. That is the understanding in your teenage years, meaning that just because you had a good upbringing and people were nice and kind and put up with your shit in the house doesn't mean that people will put up with your shit outside the house. Just because you were traumatized, violated, and run over in your house doesn't mean that the world's going to traumatize you and run over you and violate you. Do you understand? The trauma that you got at home or the lack of trauma that you got at home, both are a shock. And weirdly enough, everybody's been traumatized and everybody's had it good. And you're like, no, I grew up in the ghetto. Listen, somebody was kind to you. Somebody gave you a pass. Somebody gave you a get out of jail free card. Everybody gets that somewhere. And then we often then expect those things to be valid when we go out into the world. When you are a teenager, you must understand that you have a relationship to other people. And then there's always this subgroup of people. Yeah, but I don't want to be involved in society. I think money's crap and society's rules are crap and the rules shouldn't affect me and I didn't buy into this whole thing. Okay, listen. As long as you're healthy and your mom and dad are paying for your stuff, you don't have to have a job. You don't have to have, because everything's taken care of. But as soon as you realize that at some point you will have to deal with other people, you should get interested in how you relate to other people. Meaning that deal with yourself in a way that you make room to understand what other people need from you in order to deal with you, to have them in their environment, to have you in their environment. Does that make sense? Mm. Okay. That's teenagers. That's like up to like 18, 19. In your 20s.
Good times. 20s.
Yes.
3 years ago.
So long ago. 20s, you have to figure out who you are and what you can do. Okay? Mm-hmm. And what I mean by that is, where are you able to function and where are you not able to function? And you must make that map in your mind, in your heart, and in your body, and compare it with the things that are normal in society. Is that clear, or should I repeat it?
Repeat.
You must see where you function and where you do not function. And you must compare that to a map of what is normal in society. Okay. What I mean by that is that people get up and go to work.
Yes.
You must what?
Get up and go to work.
If you can't get up
and go to work,
then you're in trouble.
You get fired.
You get fired. You can't hold a job. Well, I know a guy. Shut up. Shut up. If you can't discipline yourself enough in your life so that you can do what normal people do. Now, I'm not saying, yeah, but I was born without legs, Jason, and you can't expect me. Okay, come on. Yeah, and he can't get up out of work. Whatever, bro. Come on.
Get up, get the training. Get up, meditate. Just get up. Don't sleep until 1 o'clock.
Yeah.
Don't go to bed at 3 o'clock.
Yes. Yeah,
get a grip on life.
I can't get up because I'm tired. Why are you tired? I don't know. Because you game until 3:30 at night, you slug. It's like, come on. Okay. Yeah. Have I gamed until 3:30 at night?
Yes, you have.
Yes, I have.
Have I? Nope.
No, you haven't. Good for you.
I've never.
Good for you.
Actually, never.
It's not intelligent. But let's say you did it. Now, I understand that I still have to do what the next morning?
Get up, go to work.
And I cannot hold the people of tomorrow responsible for what I did
the day
before, which means I'm tired. Should all of the patients that come in suffer?
No.
Should any of them
suffer? Only you should suffer.
Only I should suffer. So do I put on the big smile and do I make sure that I've crossed all the T's and dotted all the I's anyway?
Yes.
Yes, I do. You must understand that the things that are normal in society are things that you must be able to do. Now, whether you choose them or not is different. This is your 20s, my friends. And you're like, yeah, but I don't understand why this applies to me at all. Listen, do you know why they call it normal?
It's normal.
Because it's normal.
In general, if you have like 100 people, 98 people will do that.
Will be able to, right?
Be able to, yeah.
Be able to. Like, whether they do it or not, that's up to you. But let's say you have to see that your ability to function relative to other people must be a minimum of normal. If you don't match that, then you have to figure out a way to compensate, either getting treatments, therapies, extra trainings. You need to focus on that so you can bring your minimum up to a normal level. That's it. And you should also start to figure out where you're probably a little bit better than average. And some people Everybody has a gift. You're like, no, man, I'm below average in intelligence and my body's crap. And no. There's somewhere inside you. It could be your discipline. It could be your ability to be consistent. It could be your creativity. It could be your ability to take in lots of information at one time. It could be your ability to be kind. It could be your ability to care about many people. It could be your ability to contact many people and keep people basically engaged in your life. There's so many ways that you can find that you are able to be excellent. Find out in your 20s where you are excellent. Right?
I can have an example.
Yeah, please.
For instance, it was like, I think it's a third podcast we have in total, where my husband Eirik joins. Yeah. And he is a perfect example of just that. Yeah. Because he had this idea that he wanted to be a computer engineer or something like that. Yeah. Because that's what the thought was. Yeah. That guy, he's the softest, sweetest.
I love him.
Feminine guy there is. And he wants to work with computers.
Yeah. He wants to be...
That guy was born to work within health.
Yeah.
Seeing
people taking
care. So he
care,
used 5 years to figure out that, because every hobby, everything kind of reflected that's what he wanted. And if you want to hear more about it, go back to one of the first podcasts we have. But then he figured out, of course I'm going to work with people, not with numbers. I'm going to work touching people, seeing people, helping them in their everyday life. Yeah. So he became a chiropractor.
That's it.
Through that discovery of...
Hallelujah.
Thank God. Very grateful that he became that. Yeah. Always having a chiropractor with me. Yes. I never have a bad neck. Or when I do, it's not for long. But he did exactly that. He had to use his 20s to figure out what he was not that good at and figure out where it was actually very good. Yes. And then he made a career out of that.
And understand, it's okay to fail.
That's what your 20s for.
That's what you're for,
You're not going to hit it right on the head the first time.
You shouldn't put that pressure on you because you're trying things out in order to figure out
I've tried
who you are.
To only be a student 4 times. Yep. I've succeeded for 1 month every time.
Yes, exactly. And then you always
because
get a job.
I'm extremely good at working.
You are
amazing. And I did good at school as well.
Oh, but on top of working.
Of course, but yes, I did.
Yeah, but for you, yes, of course.
But because it's work. Yeah. But I was never a good student. I never could do the student thing and go partying and sleep late. I wasn't able to do that. That was something I couldn't do, but I was excellent at working. Yeah. So that's something I figured out in my 20s in that process of what I'm good at and not so good at.
And just so it's said, like I just want to underline, just because you know you can doesn't mean you have to.
Yes.
Right? You don't have to do what everybody else is doing. You don't have to be normal. All I'm saying is that you have to be able to be normal. You have to be able to figure that thing out. And Mara tried it, didn't like it, kept moving. That's it.
Yeah, you work with it. And you don't, to be successful and be all you can be, you have to relate to society.
That's it.
And the things that makes normal people work in society, that is, no matter what, in some way, a presupposition.
Yeah.
Almost.
Well done.
Thank you. For success anyways.
It is.
The people that are ultra successful, they have discipline to wake up, for instance.
Yeah.
So if you're gonna, and to hold on to things for a long time, you get these qualities with being able to go up, get to work, even when you're sick and stuff like that. So it comes in there.
Yeah.
But what about a partner, Jason?
Oh yeah, but we're not there yet.
Oh no, we're not there yet.
Oh yeah, I can't wait to get back.
Sorry.
I know. I'll try to be quick because it's so juicy.
So juicy. So we are in our 20s. We're trying to figure out what we're good at, what we're not that good at, and who we are.
And here's the thing: learn to not take yourself so seriously, so that you can try and then you can fail. And here's another big thing, my friends. You have to understand that as you're figuring out who you are, you have to learn how to handle yourself. Wherever you are,
there you are.
There you are, which means that
you at least 50% of every equation
Yeah,
you're in.
You're at least 50% of every equation, usually 90%. If it's to be, it is up to me. Yes, that's it. And that's the point. You have to learn how to handle yourself. You're shit sideways with your head and you can't concentrate. Is it normal? No, it's not normal. Fix it. You can't take feedback from people because you just get so butthurt every time anybody says that you're not a perfect angel.
Fix it.
Fix it. You have to be able to take information in. That's actually how you learn, is to realize that, you know what? Oh yeah, that's not right. Okay, thank you. That's one of the things that Marit and I often have a thing. You know, she corrects me, and I'm like, oh, and I'm like, okay, that doesn't match my thinking here, and there may be conversation around it. But when I realize that I'm wrong, what happens?
You correct.
I correct, and there's no drama. I'm not angry at her. I'm not angry at me. I'm not embarrassed. It's like, oh, thank you for updating my database. Now I know more. I appreciate you. But here's a problem, guys, because in the day of Google, you have an issue. In my day, we didn't have the ability to take out a mobile phone and just look everything up. So what we would do is somebody would say, I heard that there are more people living today than ever have been born. And you're like, that doesn't sound right. I believed that for a while because somebody really smart said that to me. And I'm like, yeah, that sounds reasonable, but I'm not sure if that's true because I know that at Rome at its height as an empire, the city of Rome only had like 1 million people. And then it dropped down to 250,000. So what you do is you actually start thinking around the facts that you know and you put it in a context and you kind of work yourself in. And if it sounds reasonable, then the person who has the most reasonable thought around it, you believe. And it may be wrong, but that's how you
have a process around it and you have to evaluate it and
evaluate it. And then things make sense for you. And then if you find out you're wrong later, you adjust your whole thinking. Like in a spider web, you pull on one thread and things change, and then you're good. And you got practice thinking. But now it's kind of like, that's bullshit. Oh, what do you mean that's bullshit? Here, let me Google that. Nope, it's wrong. Look. There's no fucking process. There's no process, so it's either you're right or you're wrong. And a lot of people, because it goes so fast, they never have this opportunity to kind of understand that you have to, in this process, deal with the fact that maybe your facts aren't right and then your thinking process was wrong. And there's no real development. It's just like, okay, now I have a factoid. That's wrong. Okay, but how does that fit in my life? How am I better for knowing that one thing? Don't know, right? So this whole process of working with information, man, I was wrong 1,000 times a day. I was wrong. I'm used to being wrong and becoming more informed. Doesn't make me a bad person. I'm not butthurt because I get upgraded. I'm actually thankful. I'm thankful for it. Thank you for informing me. So now I won't say the wrong thing. I'll say the right thing. You have to learn that skill. You must learn how to be wrong because that's the only way you can grow. And everybody's wrong, man. Everybody's wrong sometime, somehow. Now, pretending that you're perfect, that's a dead end. Not being able to function normally, that's a dead end. Now, in your 30s, it's capacity. How far? Yes. How much can I work? How long can I hold out? How much can I make? How high can I climb? What can I make myself do? It's about figuring out what the scope of your potential is.
How far can we take this shit?
How far can we take this shit? I like that. Exactly. In your 40s, you know how far you can take that shit, and you kind of know where the dead ends are, and you're
a little bit smarter.
You're a little bit smarter.
I hope.
But that's how you get smarter. You hit the wall, right? Or you jump off the edge a little bit. But in your 40s, it's more about, okay, I now know where my limits are, and I kind of hold myself a little bit more where I like to be, and I avoid some of the pain and focus a little more on the pleasure. And then in your 50s, it's about quality of life. And 60s, it's about rediscovering your youth and rediscovering old paradises that you had in your 20s and 30s. And In your 70s, it's about taking care of your health and your people. In your 80s, it's about partying.
I say when you're 80, I don't care anymore. Do whatever you want.
Do whatever you want.
Don't be a dickhead. And
don't be a douchebag.
Don't wreck things.
Yeah.
But you know,
yeah.
if you want to
You're
game
80,
until 3,
man. Yeah.
do it.
Yeah, you don't have to be getting up.
Well, in Norway, the lifespan, you actually live quite long. So maybe 80 is a little bit, 85 then.
Yeah.
But
as I get older, she keeps increasing this
Yeah,
age. Yeah.
just
Maybe when you're 95,
yeah,
right?
just enjoy. You have, you have between 5 to 15 years left. Just don't count calories anymore, people.
Yeah. Buy the fireworks.
Buy the fireworks.
Yeah.
Walk. Do you?
I'm gonna get myself a dog.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah. Maybe before that too.
Maybe before that, because if you die and it's only 5,
Yeah, I gotcha.
Poor dog. Anyways.
So your 20s before you get yourself a partner. Now understand that when you have a partner, you must then relate to another person. Yes. Right? So that means that you have to have, number one, in your teenage years, learned that you must relate to other people. Yes. Right? And here's the point. The point is that when you get together with another person, you become partners. Right?
That was one of the biggest shocks I've learned within relationships a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Like, you're partners? And it's, of course you are. We never thought about it like that. Boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife.
Yeah. And those inherently, weirdly enough, from the old school, put you in a certain role.
There are so many unwritten rules about expectations and what you should do and what you can't do.
Now you're my wife. Now you're my husband.
You make food. It's so many unwritten rules. Yeah.
Yeah, and it could very well be like in my house. My dad, he was really good at making food. My mom didn't like it, so he was cooking, and he loved it. He was stressed. He was stressed when he came home from work, and he made food. He made a big mess in the kitchen. My mom would clean that up. She did that gladly. He made a big, wonderful meal, and my mom ate that gladly. So they helped each other become more than they could have been alone. So when should you start looking for a partner? That is when you feel that you have a big enough handle on who you are, and you have capacity to devote to another person and an ability to make them better than who they would have been alone. That's when you get a partner. When you're struggling to take care of yourself, you're freaking drowning in the river, and you're going to go out and party and get drunk and get randomly pregnant or get somebody else randomly pregnant that you hardly even know.
That's not the time.
Probably the wrong way to approach a lifelong commitment. And you're like, yeah, but it's modern days. Shut up. It's too much trash that comes along with not being finished with your own inner work. Now, I'm not moralizing I'm just telling you how much it's difficult, guys. When I say trash, I mean it's difficult, because dealing with another person, especially if you are in a relationship with them and you're projecting on them, they have to love you enough to tolerate the fact that you're going to be unreasonable. Because once you have sex with a person, unless you are very awake to start with, you stop seeing them and you start seeing your projection of what you expect them to be. And you're like, well, I don't understand that. Well, we haven't gotten to this whole conversation yet.
Oh, that's for another one.
But I'll give you
a big one.
One last sentence on that. Your biology is stronger than your psychology.
That's the way it is.
That's the way it is. And it doesn't mean that you're just the horny monkey. I'm not saying that. But your biology is stronger than your psychology unless you are an awake person, which means that a woman's looking for safety and projecting on a provider, and a man is looking for a nurturer and a place that they can be safe and relaxed. Minimum. And if you're not providing those things when you're having sex, not just when you're having sex, but around the whole sexual relationship. My friends, it's chaos.
Yes.
Expectations and divorces and all kinds of weird stuff happens. Okay. Now, and you're like, oh, you're being very chauvinistic here. No, I'm not. That's biology. Only one side of the sex can have babies, and that requires lots of resources. And it is a very special role that men can't take. Sorry, guys. Sorry. I know you feel put down now, but you'll never do anything that special. Deal with it. Okay.
Okay.
Yep. Now, this is the thing. Understand that you must relate to society. Finished. Teenagers. 20s, before you get yourself a partner, understand that you are responsible for your life and nobody else. Meaning that you need to handle who you are. Anywhere that you're outside of normal in a negative way, you must clean that up before you start putting yourself on other people. Then you start figuring out what you're good at, what you're inspired to do. And to be quite honest, even having a high amount of emotion in one area is a superpower. So if you're more emotional than everybody else, you know you have lots of power, and that can drive you to become excellent in anything. So that's my best start on that thought. Otherwise, it's just I could talk for 25 hours on that. And I would please ask the same person to ask another specific question if they would like more about this. Get yourself physically in shape, get yourself emotionally in shape, get yourself mentally in shape.
And don't stress with the relationship. It will come.
It's coming, man.
If you do the work, we know who this is. If he continue the work he's doing, he's gonna become a very attractive person.
Oh well, yeah,
I'm not talking looks, but his energy, the way he's gonna be attractive to a person, because a person that has then done that work becomes more attractive, and he will also attract more high, how to say it, level. Yeah,
the longer you hold out,
high frequency people, because exactly. That's they want something like that.
He's a triple threat. He's gonna look great. He's gonna be emotionally stable and powerful. He's gonna be mentally clear. This guy, man, he's a triple threat. He's awesome. So that's what you want. The longer you work on your inner self, the longer you work on integrating yourself and finding your flow state continuum, the longer you work on your ability to be present, aware, and grown up, the more you have to offer, the better class quality of relationships you can have. That's it.
And it's much easier to work on this when you're alone than it is when you live with someone.
Oh, man. Oh, how much, like we talked about this before. Personal development happens in two directions, guys. One is depth, where you're opening new doors and new depths for yourself. The other one is more broad. It's more being able to do more things efficiently and seeing more things in the outside world. You do both of those all the time. But I'll tell you one thing. You have 3 kids, man. You have 4 kids. You have 5 kids. You have a new relationship. You have a new job. That is not the time for your deep, deep inner work. That's the time for outside survival. So very often you get really smart at stuff that you're doing. And maybe you also, because of that, need to go deeper and you force yourself to focus on your practice, which is if you have a practice of finding the flow state continuum, you have the practice of deep diving into yourself, then you can continue that. But finding new stuff and really developing yourself personally is not that easy. It takes special people. So don't put that pressure on yourself. So do it before you start throwing yourself out on the dating market, because I'm going to tell you, a lot of that's just trauma waiting to happen. There's a lot of trash out there right now. It's so strange.
Wait a couple of years.
Wait a couple of years. That's it. Yeah.
Okay. Wait. Oh, okay. Sorry. I almost lost my phone in my teacup here.
Oh, okay.
Sorry for
Talk about
people's
deep dives.
ears.
Deep dives.
Yeah, sorry for people's ear. We have time for one more question. We do that. This is a wonderful woman that's written to us. What that is, how can one work actively with emotional regulation in your everyday? Do you have any concrete methods you can use? Yes. And she's especially looking for, she sees, or not looking for, she sees that her everyday often depends a lot of how she managed to regulate herself in order to other people.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
Very cool. Do you want to speak on that one first or shall I?
Ah, you can start.
Okay. So here it is, guys.
Or, sorry, I'm going to add a little bit on it.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Why
yeah.
is it easier to respond? No, sorry, to react than respond in safe environments.
Yeah.
Then I can talk about it.
This, yeah, right.
And I can talk
right?
about
Yeah,
it.
yeah. Okay, you want to start or shall I?
No, well, I can take up the beautiful example I have from yesterday. I went home. I have a lot of anxiety lately, and because of thoughts, I'm a couple of podcasts back. You hear I'm looking at thoughts and seeing thoughts, and I have this pattern often that when something about to burst, there comes some emotions on it, and well, I'm gonna go down before I'm gonna go up. And my dog, he needs to get out. I need to get him out. It's been raining. It's been icy in Norway. It's been horrible walking outside.
Yeah, it's dangerous.
It's dangerous right now,
yeah.
but and like now he needs to have a walk. I can't just do the easy thing. I need to let him walk. So I'm gonna go straight in at home from work. I'm not in myself like I should be. I have a lot of anger inside, a lot of anxiety, and he's a golden retriever. So if he walks out now, he pulls up so much rocks and dust and stuff into his fur. So I have a raincoat.
Yeah.
For him.
He looks so
He's
handsome.
very handsome. But the raincoat has to be put on because it needs to cover his stomach. So you put it on like you would put on like a rain suit on a child.
Yeah.
You put in the paws, front and then back, and then you pull it up and you zip the back. And he didn't want to cooperate. He was just, I was sitting and then it was just sliding out. And it's very difficult. If you put on a rain suit for a child, you understand that he's playing dead.
Yeah.
And he's 40 kilos and 4 paws. And I can't get this on. And I'm furious and I'm angry. I'm keep yelling at him. And then I'm like, I'm so sorry. I'm not angry at you, actually. I'm just angry. I'm not angry at you. And the more I yell, the more he slides out. And I'm getting more and more angry and apologize more and more to him. I'm not angry with you. I'm not, but I'm very angry. Can you please cooperate? And he does not cooperate. And he rolls to his back and laying there playing dead. And I just lose it. I'm losing it. I'm saying sorry. I'm losing it. And I'm saying, I'm so sorry, Teddy. I'm not angry. I'm not angry at you, but I'm very angry. So please help me.
Yeah.
But very unsafe environment.
Yes. Yes.
It's because he's kind of the lowest threshold.
Yes.
For me, because
he's an angel baby.
He's an angel baby. He's a dog, and he's a wonderful dog. So
he's
what
a special
can
dog.
he do?
Yeah, he's an angel with a fur coat. He's amazing.
But I know that my threshold when I'm very low, and on kind of my battery, my tolerance is really low. I do not respond to him. I only react to him.
Yeah.
And because what can he do? It's a dog.
Yeah.
It's not a German Shepherd. It's not a Rottweiler. It's a teddy bear. So, there's the lowest I get. I know when I'm snapping at him for no reason, it's bad.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Because of its safe environment.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I have, I'm much more snappy with you. I'm much more snappy with my husband. And then you have the relationship with the parents that you're a little bit more snappy. But the further out you get, the less the snappiness goes away.
Yeah, yeah. The more it goes away.
Yeah, you're not snappy with clients.
Exactly.
You're not snappy with people coming in because they don't belong there. Yeah. But the closer you get, the safer you feel with people, the more you show of your bad side.
Yeah.
And it's very unfair, I feel often, because the people that's closest to you should get the best part of you, but they usually get the worst.
That's right.
And I feel it often because you are safe. You feel the relationship there is strong. In the situation with the dog, he kind of can't react to what I'm doing because I'm yelling at him. I'm not hitting him, so I'm not doing it. Because then he can bite. You're not abusing it because then there's a whole other stuff. But I'm kind of yelling at him, trying to pull up that raincoat.
You may be saying things that you wouldn't say to the Pope.
Yeah. then you would have to have a whole lot of Hail Marys afterwards, I think. But the closer you get, the more secure you are in the relationship, the more you react, because the bigger tolerance, and that's back to the relationship that you talked about, the more tolerance they should have towards you, because we agreed on this partnership. So you should have me at my worst also. You need to tolerate this because, we have all this together.
Yeah.
But the further out you get, the less you react, the more you respond.
Exactly. Well, that's true. I'd like to give a picture and then comment if I could. A picture that I love in this relationship, the way I think about this, it makes it very clear. Now, there's a few of you people out there that won't get this example, but those few should be extreme sporters, and those few should be high-level athletes of some kind. If I put a plank on the ground and ask you to walk over it 100 times, you do it no problem. Mm-hmm. And you wouldn't even think about it. You just make sure you didn't stub your toe on the way over. Wouldn't pay much attention to it because it's like walking on the ground. It's just like you're walking on a plank. No consequence. Now, this is at no what?
Consequence.
No consequence. Now, if I put that same plank between two buildings.
Whole different story.
Because there are consequences, you will increase the amount of awareness you put on it, unless you just don't give a shit about yourself.
Or others.
And you will walk very carefully over. And if I ask you to do 100 times, if there was a true danger, then you would be conscious every step, every 100 times. Because if it's on the ground, maybe the first time you're like, oh, can I actually balance on this plank? Of course I can.
The fifth time you just
walk over. You don't give a shit. It's like, I'm not going to die here. So if I step off the side, who cares, right? And this is more powerful than if you walk over and don't step off, I give you $100. Yeah, okay, yeah. But if you were going to lose your life or suffer horribly, you'd be more conscious than if you were going to win, because we are taught from biology. Biology is often stronger than your psychology. We are taught to avoid pain almost at all costs, right? Especially long-term future pain, where actually that's where a lot of anxiety comes from also, right? So in safe environments, safe especially for people who are quite emotional, safe means low consequence. So I get pissed off and I have $100 million to lose. This guy says that, Jason, your haircut's stupid and your breath stinks and you cripple and don't like the way your voice sounds, whatever he's going to say. I don't know what, I can't even actually think of something that a person could say to me right now. If they threatened somebody I love, it would be different, right? Like, I don't know what they could say to me or cause me to react. I don't know what it would be, but they did something, made me react. $100 million I'm going to make if I can just keep it cool. The question is, where's your threshold for keeping it cool? Another thing is the guy has a gun in your face, in your mouth. What you going to do if he says something shitty? Nothing. Oh, I would ninja that guy. I'd take the gun. Okay, you can't take the gun. You're locked to a chair. What you gonna do? Well, nothing. You're gonna talk back to him like a superhero in a spy movie? No. The people you can be shittiest with, those are the people who give you more safety. That's the way it is. That's all it is. That's 100% the truth. The more reactive you are, the less consequences you perceive from that person. Now, maybe a person that you really love a lot, but you know that they fly off the handle and they go fucking crazy. Are you going to walk on eggshells around that person? Yeah, you are. And are you going to talk back to them? Well, only if you want to fight. You may love them and they may live in the same house as you, but are you actually going to emotionally be close to that person? Actually, no. People who grow up in houses where there's lots of anger and expressiveness, like where people are yelling at each other and stuff, they're often over monitoring other people's emotional states and are terrified to trigger other people because they didn't have what? Emotional security. So it was always walking on the plank between two buildings.
That being said, you could also then say that that's one of the things you have to discover in your 20s.
Yeah.
If you're a person that are very reactive.
Yes.
Very reactive. And I think also you have to see the difference here because every people react.
Everybody.
And that's something you need to learn. You need to develop. It's not some people have an extremely high tolerance to begin with. You have some people that only react. They can't respond. That's an issue because they're going to have a lot of suffering and anger in their whole life because everybody pushes their buttons. I know from my experience that one of the things that when I start reacting is because I'm very starting to get tired in one of my centers. I'm either tired in my, especially if it's not that if I'm that much if I'm physically tired, but if I'm sickly tired, at least if I'm psychologically tired, or if I'm tired emotionally, then I'm much more triggered than if I'm tired in my body because that's different. Because then I can still my head can still see and my heart is still working fine, although my body is tired after workout. But if you have had long period now with, especially now, you come right out of COVID, you come right of now we have an energy crisis and a war. Your head and heart is not at full capacity. Very few have that. So that you are reacting more comes natural with that.
Yeah.
And I know that's how I monitor myself, at least to know where I am. It doesn't mean that I succeed in not reacting, but I know that's one of the warning signs for me is that when I feel and see that I'm getting my kind of red lights are flashing in my head or in my emotions, I know, okay, now I need to try to catch the words before they come out of my mouth. Because that's one of the things that and with practice it gets better, but you're gonna fail.
Yeah.
And especially when your dog is just sliding out and not helping, or your kid is just playing dead bug.
Yeah.
And you should been in the kindergarten half an hour ago and you have an important meeting. It happens.
Yep.
Don't beat yourself up for it.
Yep. That's true.
The reason, like, really, try to do better the next morning.
That's it. And that's the thing. It's like, that's another part of this process. And this is, it kind of connects to our first thing, our first question as well. Do not expect perfection. In order to evolve, you must make mistakes and you must not be able to fix everything. If you can fix everything in your life comfortably, you're not living in a way that you're growing. If you're growing, you will have things that don't work for you. You have to be able to be wrong and forgive yourself for not being perfect. That's the 20s, that 20s that we were talking about with the first question. Now, back to what Marit was saying, is that let's say that, you're walking on this plank between two buildings and the stress of the situation becomes so much, or your inner tolerance goes so far down that the consequences don't matter anymore. You don't care if you fall off. And that's when people lose their shit. That's when people end up, going on a shooting spree.
Or you just had to solve something that was so mind-consuming that you drained the capacity for your eyes to see your mind to work.
Yeah, and you're
that
no longer...
you can't calculate and be clear walking over
exactly.
Anymore. You're gonna fall off.
You're gonna fall. That's the whole point. You're gonna have those missteps.
Or someone, your dog just died, your mom just died, and your best friend killed herself. Walk the plank. Like, really?
Yeah.
You're gonna walk off now. It's not you connecting to the flow state continuum like a motherfucker. Like, really.
Then you're deep in it, right?
You're deep in it.
Yeah.
Like, you're gonna fall off.
But this is this is the important thing, because we're answering this question backwards. We went from the whole point of why do we react in safe environments? That's why we do it. We feel comfortable punishing, or I should say sharing the punishment, because being upset and angry and all that stuff it's your emotions. It's how you're feeling. And then we're going to allow that to go further out on other people that we trust and are safe with, because that's actually a kind of love. That's actually a kind of love. Love is connection. Love is you and I are one. That's real love, that we're one. So when you're upset, then sharing that with me is an act of what?
Love.
It's an act of love. That's the whole point. Now, sometimes it's hard to tolerate if somebody is being upset, like if your mom is upset with you and you don't understand why she's upset and there's nothing you can do about it. She loves you and she's sharing that with you. Sometimes it's hard. But guess what? That also grows you up, because life is not fair. Life is not an expression of balance from any one person's point of view. I'll repeat that. It's not an expression of balance from one person's point of view. Maybe from the grand point of view it is, but not from one person's. So just deal with that. Now, there's a last piece of this, and that is, what are the techniques for working with this? How do you turn, now this is very important, how do you turn fear of consequence, because we just established that if you're in a safe environment and you're feeling like crap, it's easier to let that out on the people that you love or the people that you feel safe with. Maybe you don't love, but you feel safe. How do you turn that into awareness? Because if you're aware of the fact that your emotions are whose emotions?
Yours.
They're your emotions. And that emotions are energy. So when I'm letting them out, I'm losing what?
Power.
I'm losing power and energy. And you're like, that's not true. It is true. When I let the energy that I have leak out everywhere, I'm not directing that energy where I want it to go so that I get what I want. And this is a weird thing, guys, but let's say that I'm a very frustrated person. I was a very angry person before. I was a super angry. I have lots of anger in me. Now I channel that and I make it a superpower. But that anger before used to destroy my relationships. It used to lock down my opportunities. If I'm getting angry at people and they don't deserve it, I'm a big giant man, black belt, I have two black belts and a brown belt. I'm a giant person. So, and a dangerous person from a lot of people's point of view. So they don't dare to give me blowback. So I can act badly if I want, and who's going to tell me different? Who's going to tell me different? Right? I know that Marit will. But she also feels safe with me telling me, yo, Jack, that's not good. Right? Peer group's important. But the point is that how did I regulate myself so that I'm just not destroying my life? Because though I may not get consequences directly for my actions, people don't want to cooperate with me if I'm angry all the time. People don't want to give me good things or opportunities to do more work for them, with them, if I'm not easy to handle and consistent, right? So how did I deal with that? What I started looking at is what works for me. What works for me? When I react to a person, did it work for me? Because first you have to be aware of the fact that you reacted, right? Now, this doesn't mean that I don't have reactions inside. I just don't let them out. I get angry and sad and happy and despondent and lonely and all these things, but those are things that I integrate into my life. So you're never going to stop feeling those things. It's just how fast you recover and integrate that into your normal state of being. And how quickly can you get back online so that you can start relating to people in a progressive way. So how did that work for you? This is the major way that the technique that I used. I reacted. How did it work for me? Oh, yeah, I handled that well. I didn't let it out on the person. Could I have? Oh, absolutely. Any consequences there? No, but I didn't do it. Good. Reset. Keep moving. So like Marit was saying, Teddy, the more upset you were expressing yourself, the worse it got.
The worse it got. It was hopeless.
That's the point. If you recenter yourself and use this frustration to concentrate, it goes faster. But if you start letting it out and it starts to bubble over in your brain, then you're not going to be able to focus. How did that work for you? And it's only this reflective process that can actually change things at its core. There are, weirdly enough, no other real good techniques other than the fact to ask yourself, did that work for me? What did I win? What did I lose? But it's to ask yourself that. How about yourself? What do you notice, Marit? Is that something?
I kind of feel like I answered it.
Yeah, you answered it, right?
Yeah,
you did.
But I feel I just said if you know that it's a difference between respond and reaction, you are already winning.
Yeah,
because usually people don't know the difference.
Yeah, that's true.
So I know this is a very frequent listener, so I know she understands the difference, and that you see that makes all the difference to begin with.
Yeah, could you explain the difference between reaction and response?
Not right now, because I need to go.
Okay, all right, it's time. All right,
but I drank too much tea.
Okay.
But that you need to know the difference between those two. You're already doing it.
Yeah.
You're already on the path. You already are changing.
Yeah, she is. She is. Yeah.
And so it's kind of you are already doing it,
awesome.
and just understand that most likely you are reacting. I would assume that you're acting at home and not at your coworkers. Although sometimes a coworker can really nudge you. Also, that is also okay. Mm-hmm. And like I said, I was yelling at him and saying, again shouldn't be mentioned. I have to beep it because it's bad words. And at the same time, I'm really not angry at you. I'm just angry. It's not you. But man, help me. Yeah. You're making my life really difficult now. Yeah. So it's but that you are knowing it's a difference between reaction and responding, then you're already winning. Yeah,
she knows that already.
You're so far ahead.
Yeah, that's correct.
You're so far ahead, and when you have that, you can also explain. Yes, your kids can get a little bit upset because mama is yelling, but they also then have a mom that can explain. Sometimes mama also get tired and kind of it boils over like the kettle.
Yeah,
it happens.
Sometimes
I'm so sorry
and
it happened on you now. But sometimes it just happens, and you have it too. Sometimes you're involving your kids when you are that deep into it already.
Yeah, and here's another thing: parents are always perfectionists when it comes to their kids and wanting to be the best possible parent. Generally, outbursts comes at home because kids are chaos machines. They're wonderful, but they do all kinds of things and test things out and test boundaries.
If you're able to walk over those planks
all the time. And the point is that a home that doesn't have outbursts sometimes is an unhealthy home, because children must learn that parents are human, and they look at you when you're dealing with your own emotions. Not having emotions at all is not a good way to be for your kids. Having emotional reaction and then recovering from it and then apologizing, for example, that's a very good skill.
And then kids learn to adapt to other people.
And they learn to adapt to other people as
well. Because sometimes playing dead bug when you're 18 will not work for you.
Yeah, that's it. They need to learn that what they're doing has an effect on the outside world and
they
other
need
people.
to learn to function in normal society.
Yes, and to apologize.
Yes.
And to understand that they need to recover. And all of those skills they're learning from that whole thing. So God bless. We love you. And remember, you matter. Unless you multiply yourself by the speed of light squared, then you're energy. But if you can't be energy, matter.
Thank you for listening to our podcast. We hope you felt we added something to your day and hopefully your life. If you want to learn more, subscribe to our newsletter and find us at integrated-human.com. That is integrated-human.com. Integrated Human on YouTube and other social media platforms. Have a great day, and thank you again for listening. Love, light, and upgrade from us at the Integrated Human team.